Unfortunately, Magic Online also understands that this could be an issue, solves it by, well, whatever. Justin's going to lead off here with a Thoughtseize.
Take a look at the grip. Gataxian Probe, a Spell Pierce, a Goblin Guide, a Brainstorm, a Force of Will, a Lightning Bolt, and a Volcanic Island. What to take?
I think that the choices here are either Force of Will or Thoughtseize, if he's trying to open up a path for something like Stoneforge Mystic, or the Goblin Guide if he has no defenses.
I thought you were going to say Gataxian Probe.
Because it is busted.
Yeah.
But not as busted as some of the other cards in Andrew's hand. So I think that's where the Thoughtseize is going to go. And Justin with a really powerful hand here. It looks like he has Thoughtseize and Inquisition, Spell Pierce, Stoneforge Mystic, True Name Nemesis. Really solid hand for this matchup.
But the other thing here is that he dealt himself too. So I'm just going to be kind of happy about that. Does take the Goblin Guide.
I mean, yes and no. Thoughtseize is not the best card that Justin has in the matchup, but taking Andrew's lone threat card is pretty dangerous here.
Let's see what you're working with. Gataxian Probe time here for Schneider. Both players at 18. There's a Volcanic, a Deathrite, a Stoneforge, a True Name, and a Spell Pierce.
Again, a very solid opening hand here. Justin with basically the tools you would want in the matchup. A discard spell, Stoneforge Mystic, True Name Nemesis. You can see why he took the Goblin Guide out of this hand as well. It's going to take him a couple turns to get his defenses set up. And if something were to get bolted in this whole sequence too, the Goblin Guide could add up to a lot of damage.
So now that he does have the content, it's time for him to draw a card from his cantrip. Another Volcanic Island, that gives him land number 2. He'll play the first one. And a Grim Lavamancer shows up to the party.
And how good is Grim Lavamancer here for Andrew? I mean, Justin with two toughness creatures in his hand, and not a lot of action otherwise. I mean, the True Name Nemesis is nice, of course. It gives Justin a path, but Grim Lavamancer, one of the better cards that Andrew can produce here.
And I play a Brainstorm here off a Volcanic, excuse me, off an Underground Sea. My apologies. So a couple of cards drawn here. It means a couple of cards are going to have to go back.
Justin perhaps a little frustrated. I'm sure he would have taken Grim Lavamancer out of Andrew's hand if it was there in the opening 7.
Chances are high.
Yeah.
Yeah. That one's really good right now. So time for Geary to put a couple cards back. And then probably just have to pass the turn back. Maybe deploys the Deathrite Shaman just so it can die.
I'd be surprised. This blue-red Delver deck is so good at filling up the graveyard that there's no way. It's very unlikely that you say, all right, well, I'm going to, get 2 cards out of his graveyard and then set up a path for Stoneforge Mystic. Just, there's too many Ponders and Brainstorms and Bolts and Fetch lands, I think, for that line of reasoning to really work.
2 cards back. Has already played a land. Swords Blosher was picked up, so just use that. Get the Grim Lavamancer out of there. And, wow, Schneider making a very loud statement here. I am protecting this. Thank you.
I like it. I mean, I think he would have preferred to say that Force of Will for the True Name Nemesis, but the Grim Lavamancer shuts out so much of Justin's hand that it's worth protecting in this spot.
And the tough thing here, too, is the way that Geary set his cards back, he set back True Name Nemesis and a Underground Sea. And that means that, the ability to cast the True Nemesis a couple turns down the road because he has a Wasteland in his hand. And I think his plan was, I'm just going to wasteland your one land that I know about. Yep. But Schneider drew another one. So as a result, the big plan was True Name, and it's not going to work because he only has a single blue. Right. And you see Schneider says, you can't do that.
Nope.
So a misstep here for Geary.
And now he's in all sorts of trouble.
Yes.
Way behind the gun here. Andrew with still a bolted hand, a Brainstorm. Remember, Justin's got to get a move on in this game in a general sense because price of progress is always looming.
Underground Sea on top of his deck right now, too. There's a Deathrite Shaman. You know that thing's going to get roasted. That thing is not long for this world. I can believe me.
Don't get too attached.
Yeah, that thing's gone. I don't even have the words to tell you how fast that thing's going to die. And Snyder's going to draw a card here. Looks like it may have been another copy of Gataxian Probe.
Maybe a Snapcaster.
And maybe a Snappy, too. It's definitely blue and powerful. He's going to start with a Brainstorm. Spell Pierce in the grip here for Geary, and it's going to counter that. So the powerful instant is countered by Spell Pierce. And now here's an attack. Yep, and there is the Underground Sea.
So the reason you see Andrew attack with the Grim Lavamancer there, he doesn't want to lose that Gataxian Probe as one of his last 2 cards in the graveyard because his Snapcaster in hand, no 3rd land.
Geary gonna play a second blue source, and now True Nemesis is gonna come to the party. Wasteland gonna take down a volcanic island. You're gonna get a float and a bolt. We're going upstairs.
I like it.
Schneider's graveyard 4 cards now. He'll take a draw. Cataxian Probe. Wants to see the Stoneforge along with the Flooded Strand.
And we've seen Andrew get in this spot before where he's got some early pressure. He's attacking the life total. Some roadblock comes up, and he's got to figure out a way to finish off the game with burn spells in his creatures.
Take a draw. It's another lightning bolt. Pretty big draw there. Schneider just needs one more land to operate with. Has to pass the turn back over to Geary, who's going to take a draw. Looks like he picked up another land. We're getting close to Batterskull territory. Same with Umezawa's Jite as well. See which one the Stoneforge wants to search up here.
I think it's going to be Umezawa's Jite.
Yeah, me too.
It's just a turn earlier in connecting, and that's all Justin needs to do is connect once.
And there is the legendary equipment from Betrayers of Kamigawa showing up. Going to have a huge impact on this game. But it might be the Merfolk that actually has a larger impact here. Causing all sorts of problems now.
And with Andrew not even having a second land, it's not clear he can even get to Price of Progress.
That bolt may be going upstairs again, but we're going to start with Grim Lavamancer. It says put you down to 8. Going to remove a couple of cards here. There goes a Volcanic. And there goes Cataxian Probe. The bolt in Schneider's hand's going to leave Geary at a virtual 5. He's just got to finish up now. It's going to be tough to do, though. Draws a island, all right?
Island is actually a pretty big draw here from Andrew, as it means now Price of Progress is a live draw.
Mm-hmm. Geary going to take a draw here. Stoneforge missing the draw, not a big deal. That Grim Lavamancer. I have to deal some more damage here. So it's a tough game to win now, just because of that stupid Nemesis. So tough to beat.
I think Price of Progress may still give it an out in all of this.
Well, outs is all you can really ask for, right?
Yeah. Justin has to go to 7 to sacrifice the fetch land here and commit another non-basic land to the table. So the 2 counters from the Jite puts him down to virtual 11 with 4 non-basics in play, which means the bolt brings him down to 8, and Price of Progress is good to go.
All right.
And you can see Justin was really going over his hand trying to figure out if there's some way to not commit that 4th non-basic land.
Yeah.
There's no way to avoid it.
Yep.
He has to do this.
The question is, does he want to actually cast GT or put it through the Stoneforge door? The only reason I ask about the Stoneforge door is just because it actually taps the Stoneforge, which matters.
And he doesn't want to get hit by this Goblin Guide.
Yeah.
I think he's in a position right now where it's basically Price of Progress or bust, and having the extra blocker doesn't really matter.
Through the Stoneforge door we go. Now here comes the true name. Schneider's going to go down to 12. 2 charge counters on the Jite. So Geary at a virtual 11 right now.
So he's got, Price of Progress gets it done.
There's a Marsh Flatch. You got a bolt, right? You can't Lavamancer.
You cannot. Well, he can now because the attackers are extra damage.
Yeah.
He can Lavamancer now if he felt like it.
And he is going to Lavamancer. Let's remove a couple cards here. There goes the Probe. Maybe not.
Oh, you're going to need that.
Yeah. Brainstorm and Bolt will get removed. Geary's going to go down to 5, virtual 9 with the Jite. Deciding if he wants to gain life, maybe activate the Jite. Minus a counter. Gain 2. Up to 7. He'll wait. Is it Price of Progress? It almost needs to be on this turn. Take a draw. It's a Goblin Guide. Not sure how much that one does now.
So next turn, Justin goes to 9, virtual 13, minus. If he attacks with the Goblin Guide, I believe Price of Progress is still live the following turn.
All right.
Because this knocks him down to 2. He gets to gain 6 effectively, the 1 counter.
Yep.
Plus the 2 more he gets. That puts him to 8, and Price of Progress is still good to go.
So another draw. Triggers from the Goblin Guide. There's a Pluto Delta. That's 1. Second trigger, Inquisition of Kozilek. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. And I think Justin's going to shuffle this one away, if I had to take a guess.
A little risky taking the one from the flats.
I guess he goes down to 7 in that. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
these points of damage do matter.
Going to gain a life. He's going to go up to 9. Going to take the 5, go down to 4. I mean, Inquisition goes like, I agree with you. It's not very good at this point. Though Schneider does have a bolt in his hand.
Yeah.
There is that. There's your life total, 4 to 12. Here in game 1 of our semifinal match between Geary and Schneider. If you're just tuning in, it looked like Geary would be running away with this thing, but that's not the case. He's trying to hold on, actually.
Yeah. He's just going to draw that Inquisition, it looks like.
Yeah, does pick up a copy of the discard spell. Stoneforge Mystic, along with another fetch land in Delta and Inquisition. And he's going to start by casting the discard spell. Schneider going to show him that Lightning Bolt along with the Snapcaster Mage. Which one do I take?
I mean, Snapcaster can only get back Ataxia Probe at this stage, so I had to imagine the Bolt's more significant. You can also draw a Brainstorm or a Ponder and still Bolt in the same turn, so...
And he will go with the Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, I like that. I like that choice.
Now it's time to attack. For 3. Schneider goes down to 9. But more importantly, Geary's going to get 2 charge counters on Shite. Is he going to go removing right now?
It is unbelievable if Andrew is able to win a game where he got hit by a Jite twice.
I got to agree. Lavamancer's going to bite the dust. Geary's going to go up to 6. Stoneforge Mystic number 2 is going to join the party. Trigger. Give me a Batter Skull. Andrew Schneider says, give me a Price of Progress. How about that? He might be able to win a game where he gets hit 3 times. We're going to see.
Well, I think the problem is that Batter Skull is going to be coming down on the next hit. So,
Take a draw. If that was a pop, he would have cast it by now. So now he's got some thinking to do. Gonna sacrifice Marsh Flats. Oh yeah, because the other Mystic's active. Yeah, I forgot about that.
although he still may have Price of Progress here, I'm just hoping that Justin taps out completely. But I don't get that vibe right now.
Yeah, he knows the contents. He knows the Batter Skull, and he knows about the polluted delta as well from the Goblin Guide. So, just no attack.
Now the doors are shut.
Yep. There's a bunch of mana. Yep, it's time to suit this up. We've seen this from Geary before, actually. And now he's going to attack for a whole bunch. 3 plus 4 is 7 points of damage. More importantly, he's going to gain 7 life. Geary goes from 5 to 12. Schneider from 9 to 2. And as good as Price of Progress is, and it's pretty gosh darn good, I don't think he can get out of this. He's going to be at a virtual 16.
Yeah. I mean, Andrew did a great job navigating this game to a point where he had a shot to at least draw Price of Progress. And actually, at this point, Price of Progress kills Andrew as well because he does have a non-basic and he's at 2.
Schneider, yeah, he's just going to back in. He knows he's beat. Justin Geary going to win game number 1 here over Andrew Schneider. Deathblade able to pull it out over Blue-Red Delvers. We're going to bring it back to the booth because it is trivia time. You've got the rules and I've got the question.
Well, welcome back. And the rules are, Cedric's going to ask you a question. Tweet your answer at SCG Live and hashtag SCG Premium. Of the correct responders, one will be selected at random for 6 months of Star City Games premium content. It is about accuracy and not speed, so don't worry about submitting first, just submit accurately, excuse me. And please keep in mind that this contest is run at the sole discretion of StarCityGames.com and its affiliates. Twitch TV is in no way responsible for contests or giveaways on its stream.
All right, Andrew Snyder's deck list is what we're going to take a look at here. If you've been with us through the broadcast, we've gotten some great enjoyment out of this card being in his sideboard. There's a 3 of that deals 3 damage. It's a sorcery from Kamigawa block. If you can name the one that he's likely going to be boarding in here, that does go upstairs. Hashtag the answer of hashtag SCG Premium. Make sure you're following at SCG Live. And again, we will draw and announce the winner at the conclusion of our semifinal round.
To the top floor.
Yes.
All the way upstairs.
That's correct. I want to get you and get you good.
The luxury box. I got a lot of nicknames for it.
Yeah, we are going to head back to the match. Take a look at sideboards here. We will start with Schneider, who has 2 copies of Sulfuric Vortex, 2 Flusterstorm, Price of Progress, 2 Pyroblast, 2 Smelts, 3 Lava Spikes, and 3 Surgical Extractions. What do you like?
Well, in these kind of matchups, by which I mean non-combo decks, Andrew generally wants to get away from his counterspells and bring in more burn elements. So I think you're going to see the 3 copies of Lava Spike come in, along with the 2 copies of Sulfuric Vortex, which are just good in general against Justin, and also a good answer to the equipment that causes Andrew so much trouble. especially Umezawa's Jitte and Batterskull. I think you're going to see the 2 Smelts come in as a way to fight over the equipment. Again, the additional copy of Price of Progress is, of course, very good against Justin in his all non-basic land deck. Even though Justin has meaningful blue cards, I don't think that Andrew is necessarily going to be bringing in Pyroblast. I suspect those are more for sneak and show and just combo-oriented blue decks. In this matchup, I think he wants to be as much as possible as a burn deck and get away from his counter spells.
On Geary's side, a bunch of 1s and 2s. Sword of Feast and Famine, Sylvan Library, Abrupt Decay, Disenchant, Flush of Storm, Force of Will, 2 Spell Pierce, 2 Surgicals, 2 Zealous Persecutions, a Vendilion, a Supreme Verdict, and a Vindicate. Fluster Storm's probably okay. Spell Pierce as well.
More answers to protect himself from Price of Progress. That's the thing Justin's got to worry about most of all. Even though Force of Will isn't great traditionally against decks like Andrew, Price of Progress is such a significant individual threat that I think he's going to want to have more insurance against that card. I think you may see the Disenchant and the Abrupt Decay come in as answers to Sulfuric Vortex, which is a card that Justin's a little soft to as well. I think you're going to see him stay away from some of the more expensive anti-creature measures. Cards like Supreme Verdict just really aren't well suited for a deck as fast as Andrew's.
We see both players going to shuffle up here, get ready to deal it out. And as soon as we do have an update on our other match here in our combo mirror, I'm sure those players are going crazy here. Between Benjamin Ball and Arthur Reynolds, we'll let you guys know exactly how that's going.
Probably pretty fast.
Yeah, those players aren't going to waste any time here.
Some explosive magic. 2 fairly honest, conventional-looking magic decks over here, and then anything but the other side of the bracket.
I want to mill you, and I want to kill you, are what those 2 other decks are going to do. And very quickly, mind you. We saw Reynolds with, I believe it was a turn 4 kill in one of his games against Tyler Wilkerson. And Benjamin Ball, well, he won game 1 in a hurry against Josh Hand. Oddly enough, the other match is still in game 1. What are those guys waiting for?
Yeah.
A little camera time? Is that what they want?
Yeah. You want to slow play a little bit? Yeah. Who gets your chance? One of you will be in the finals. You don't got to play slow. Who do you think that favors if it's still in game 1?
I don't. Painter.
Probably Painter, right?
Probably Painter.
There's something weird going on. And
Yeah.
setting up some intuition for 3 funky artifacts.
Probably has a Painter servant out there naming blue and just blasting things out of the sky. That's my guess. Force of Willing removing a land. That's probably what's going on over there. Schneider going to be on the play here. Unable to break serve in game number 1. Geary's going to send it back.
Shows a hand of just 2 wastelands for mana.
Easy keep.
This deck is ambitious with its colored mana situation. Once you have Deathrite Shaman in your deck, there's a pretty big incentive to play Wastelands because you get to leverage that mana advantage, but that leads to a mana base of, 9 dual lands, 11 fetch lands, and 4 Wastelands. So not uncommon for there to be some mana issues. And Justin almost wasn't able to cast True Name Nemesis in that first game. He needed help. He had 3 lands in play and was unable to cast it.
Game 1 goes to Arthur Reynolds. Painted Stone, the blue-red Painter deck, does win game number 1 over Benjamin Ball playing Storm. Not too surprising, but it's going that long.
Yep.
Get milled is likely what happened.
And maybe it slows down even further post-board games. I mean, these decks bring in a lot of disruption, generally speaking. More counter spells, more discard, and so forth. But definitely some odd magic going on the other side of the bracket.
Just some odd magic taking place in our top 8. Just not what we have seen.
I mean, one Delver deck is well below expectation.
And it's this Delver deck.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a welcome change of pace here. Same with the Standard Open, too. Just burn.
A lot of burn.
Just get you. We're going to come back to Knoxville. I hope so.
I hope so, too.
A little Gataxian Probe action. I like that. Brainstorm, True Name Nemesis, Disenchant, a couple of lands.
Solid 6-card hand.
I can't complain too much. True Name got the last one done, and we all know how powerful Brainstorm is, so you got to like this hand.
And again, Disenchant, very important to have some protection against Sulfuric Vortex because that card, uncontested, will cause Justin all sorts of fits. Equipment doesn't work, Deathrite Shaman, most of his tools for stopping Andrew.
So now that he knows the contents of the grip, how do we proceed? It's a volcanic. It looks like it's going to come in and play tap for some mana, and there's Delver's Secrets. Good start.
Great opening for Andrew.
In a perfect world, that thing flips, and then we start firing bolts up there. Geary with a draw. What did he find? If it was a sword, you probably got to fire it right away.
Appears to be Stoneforge Mystic.
That's not too bad either. Let's see if Schneider can flip this bad boy, maybe with the help of a brainstorm, or maybe a little luck of the draw.
Sure, with a brainstorm.
Yeah.
There you go, easy.
There's Nared Mesa, sacrificing that right away. Looks like he may have something to do with 2 mana here. If he's sacking that right away, because he could have played brainstorm and then fetched, you know, he's probably got something to do with this mana.
I suspect this means he has 2 copies of Goblin Guide. That's my prediction.
2?
2.
That's a lot.
That's why he would do this preemptively, is my guess.
I see a couple. Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. You know your way around a red deck.
Oh, yeah. Not my first time.
Goblin Guide number 1. And if 1's better, if 1's good, excuse me, 2's better.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Time to sacrifice this Flooded Strand.
And there's enough going on here that Justin may feel compelled to brainstorm looking for Force of Will. Because this hit right here might just be too much damage to take.
7 goes down to 12. 2 Chain Lightnings in Schneider's hand.
And what's his follow-up? And what's Justin's follow-up next turn? Stoneforge Mystic? It's a little slow.
just smidge. Here is a brainstorm. He's probably gonna want to set some cards back that are land, so he gets to draw all of them. Goblin Guide, but yeah, he's in a lot of trouble right now.
Yep.
And he puts 2 lands down. Looks at the rest of his cards here.
I love this kind of feeling when you're in the burn seat or the blue-red Delver seat, where it's like, oh man, you're generating so much card advantage. How am I gonna win?
Two Wastelands added to the grip.
Mm-hmm. A Stoneforge Mystic, another 2 for 1. This is a lot of damage coming through here.
4, 5, 6, 7. Geary's at 12. He gets his Wastelands. He gets to draw a mystery card.
Draw them all.
Yeah, feeling that good, huh? Flooded Strand is the draw. It's definitely a rough road ahead. There is your Stoneforge Mystic off an Underground Sea. You can search for a Batterskull or Numazawa's Jite, but another attack for 7 is coming.
It's really fascinating that this draw, we were talking about this being too slow, and it's turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic.
Yeah.
And it's not too slow, like, oh, the Stoneforge Mystic might die, and then you're not going to be able to cast your Batterskull in time. It's too slow, like, you're going to die next turn too slow.
Going to discard a Flooded Strand before passing the turn back over to Schneider, who's going to untap. He's going to take a draw. What's he find? I think that was a Snappy.
Mm-hmm.
Chain Lightning, get that out of here. Coming in for 7 again. You're going to go down to 5. 2 Goblin Guide triggers. This is 1. Underground Sea and 2. A Snappy. Schneider with another Chain Lightning in the grip also has a Brainstorm that he may want to cast. He's just going to pass the turn back. Yeah, Justin Geary knows I cannot get out of this. So essentially a turn 3 kill there from Blue Red Delver.
And that's the draw. And Andrew did actually literally have a turn 3 kill.
Mm-hmm.
He showed enough respect for the possibility of Force of Will that he didn't just go post-combat Chain Lightning you twice. He decided to try to kill the Stoneforge Mystic just in case something weird happened. But based on the cards in hand, Andrew had him on turn 3.
Yeah. Pretty nice draw there from the Blue Red Delver player.
Was not shabby.
Yeah, we'll see if either player goes back to the sideboard here. You see the deck list out in front of him. Geary took a look in the box and he said, I'm good. And Schneider knows his deck very well, knows the matchup, so it looks like he's good.
I'm always wary of having Goblin Guide on the draw against decks like Justin because there's too many ways for it to go bad. Whether it's Brainstorm putting back lands or removal spells or just the board getting clogged up with True Name Nemesis and so forth. But it doesn't really look like Andrew's going back, so I think he's looking at presenting the same 60.
Who do we like? Player draw since Geary's on the play here.
I like Justin.
Yeah.
I mean, the matchup's close. Being on the play just feels like the most important thing.
This deck's so powerful.
It is really powerful.
Hard to imagine that things would get so tough for him. I mean, I definitely like the way that Schneider has configured his deck after sideboard to just be a burn deck, and that seems very good against Geary. I just wish there were cards like, Searing Blood or Searing Blaze, so that some of the cards were just both.
Yes.
A burn spell and a removal spell.
The tough thing here is that with Blue-Red Delver is the colored mana situation is pretty sensitive. There are islands and you want to fetch those because you're playing around Wasteland or, you have Price of Progress in your deck, so you want to make sure that that's asymmetrical. And all this leads to a world where it's really hard to play double blue and double red spells. Sulfuric Vortex is a little bit of a different animal because you need to have 3 lands in play anyway. So unless you have both copies of your basic islands in play, you can cast the Vortex, assuming that you have 3 mana. But Searing Blood and those kind of cards cause you to go through some hoops that you may not be willing to go through. Similarly, Dan is not good in the sideboard. It's just too hard to cast.
Come on. That card's sweet.
It is sweet. It's just too hard to cast.
The Dan artwork is really good too.
It is awesome.
I think it's a fish eating a boat.
I think it's underneath the boat,
Dan artwork.
and it is preparing to turn over the raft, I believe.
I think it's just eating a boat.
Fish don't typically eat boats. They
Dan ain't no normal fish. Okay.
That point is well taken.
Good old Daniel, the fish. Players going to draw their opening hands here.
Looks like Andrew's got a good mix of lands and spells.
He's happy. Justin's happy. We're underway. Marsh flats to begin. No Deathrite Shaman. You've got to be happy if you're Schneider. There's a Goblin Guide. Doesn't want to show that probe just yet. Trigger. Underground Sea. Is it swords? That's the big question. It's not.
It's a lot of discipline from Andrew there if he's not willing to run that Cataxing Probe into a Spell Pierce.
He knows he needs that probe.
Because in theory, you would want to see what's going on first. Because if Justin has a Swords of Plowshare in his hand, you don't even want to attack with the Goblin Guide there. So he must be really wary of getting that card countered. And if you look at his hand, it makes some sense. He's really land heavy. So trading 1 for 1 that way, even for something as innocuous as a Cataxing Probe, would be pretty bad for Andrew.
This is a Stoneforge Mystic. Trigger. See if it's GT or Batterskull.
I think Justin may already have the Batterskull in hand.
Okay.
So this might be one of those really rough spots where Andrew assumes that it's GT and the Batterskull is already there.
Ponder the draw. Well, I guess. Wow, that's neat.
That is really neat.
Now he gets to know. Look at Cataxian Probe working overtime. Both equipment along with the true name of Spell Pierce, Flusterstorm, 2 Stoneforge. So even if you bother killing Stoneforge, you got to work through the other ones.
But at least he's behind on general tempo in the game.
Here's where a Goblin Guy can come back to backfire because Geary doesn't have a lot of lands.
Well, the thing is, if there's a land on top, that means Justin's drawing it anyway. You're giving him additional spells as the game proceeds, and Justin's already he's got plenty of spells to work with. So it's a little bit deceptive with Goblin Guide, but you're not keeping him off of lands because he would just draw that land anyway.
Take a draw. That is a smelt.
Huge draw for Andrew. He can now try to bait Justin into a place where he deploys the Batterskull and is able to tag it with the smelt.
Volcanic into Ponder. So hit 1, chain, 2, mountain, 3, vortex.
Oh.
He's already got a vortex in the grip too.
Some heaters. I mean, again, he knows that Justin's potentially shields down next turn. If he kills the Stoneforge Mystic and Justin says, all right, I'll redeploy a Stoneforge Mystic, he is in a lot of trouble.
There's a chain. In for 2 we go. Let's see if it's a land. I think that's the most important thing here. It's not. It's a Deathrite.
And I mean, Deathrite's really good for Justin also because it allows him to play a 1-mana spell, Deathrite Shaman, and keep up a soft counter.
Here's chain. Take care of the Stoneforge. Deathrite goes to the grip. He quickly plays Stoneforge Mystic.
Oh boy, I think Andrew's going to get this one, to be quite honest
He
with
gets
you.
the opportunity to drop Sulfuric Vortex. That's huge right now.
With a smelt in hand, Goblin Guide still attacking.
Yeah.
I think that if Justin plays Deathrite Shaman with a mana up, now he doesn't know about necessarily that Andrew has Vortex.
Oh, of course.
This opening right now, the way that Justin has sequenced this is playing right into Andrew's hands.
And for 2, trigger the Goblin Guide. That's a Thoughtseize. Yeah. That's not good. There's a Sulfuric Vortex. That's the big dagger.
No more life gain. I mean, again, Justin still has Disenchant in his deck. He has Abrupt Decay, which he can't cast, assuming that he brought it in.
Yep.
But he's drawing pretty slim to this card.
So Vortex going to deal 2 to Geary. He wants to make sure he knows what it does. The 2, both parts are actually very important right now. 2 and no life gain. So Geary's going to go down a little bit lower to 11. Schneider at 18 for the moment. We know Geary picked up a Thoughtseize for the turn. That's about the worst card he could have drawn. So presumably he's just going to leave mana open to be able to activate Stoneforge Mystic and get absolutely annihilated by Smelt.
Right. That's the thing in all of this is, you know, Batterskull's still pretty attractive for Justin, just putting a 4/4 Vigilance into play, but again, plays right into Andrew's hands.
Brainstorm. Going to lead things off here for Schneider. So 3 cards coming here. Nothing too great there. An Island, a Scalding Tarn, and a Delver of Secrets.
Well, just getting to shuffle away some of this mana is good for Andrew.
Yeah. Going to play a Tarn. You see he's got the Smelt at the ready. He says, get in there, Goblin Guy. And if you're Geary, you just got to go, what?
That guy's got a trigger here.
I almost want to block my Stoneforge from Justin. There's a Jace. Yeah. I don't know if that's better or worse than Thoughtseize. Does it make sense to block with Stoneforge and then activate? You have to imagine something's up.
Yeah, you might have to. Yeah, he has to chump block here.
You're gonna activate, put a Batterskull into play. He can't just. I don't think it's reasonable when your Goblin Guy's attacking. It's like, oh, I guess Batterskull's gonna eat it then, right? It's like, no. So you got to try to get the block. There's a Smelt on the Batterskull. Follow up with the Delver of Secrets.
I think if I was in Andrew's position there, I might have just played the second Vortex.
Really up the clock.
Yeah, and just leave him with no outs. This Smelt Delver line is totally fine too. Don't get me wrong.
See if Delver's going to flip here. I believe Andrew's going to probably sacrifice a Scalding Tarn. I think he just put 2 lands back on top of his deck.
Yeah.
Hoping that, well, I'm not sure if Schneider remembered the trigger for the Vortex, as it is his trigger.
But
To deal Geary too.
Yeah.
Because Geary's turn was very fast. He just played Stoneforge. He drew the Jace, played Stoneforge Mystic, so. See Schneider going to get an Island out here.
9 looks correct because Justin was at 11 last turn and chump blocked with the Stoneforge Mystic.
Trigger the Delver. You got to trigger the Vortex too. That's correct. And he does. Goes down to 13. Looks like Delver's not flipping. At least we don't think so. And it's not. Grimlockmancer's not so bad, though.
Now the shabby draw.
Gonna attack here for 2. Abrupt Decay, can't cast you. See if Geary's gonna block. The answer is no. Here comes the backup Vortex and the Lavamancer. I don't think there's getting out of this one.
Not with an uncastable Abrupt Decay coming.
Yeah, he's gonna pack it up and pack it in. Andrew Schneider with Blue-Red Delver, able to break serve again. The 8 seeds moving on to the finals. Defeats Justin Geary 2-1. Becoming a burn deck is lots of fun.
Andrew's, that third game makes me miss competitive Magic.
Yeah.
I haven't missed it in some months, but